Hello, welcome to another episode of Jam in the Print Room with me, Jack Gocher, Matt Hanley, Andy McGuinness. I will introduce you in a minute, Luke, and you, Dave, don't worry. You'll notice it's a bit different this week. We are here in person. How do we feel about this, guys?
Good.
Very excited for this.
This
And wonderful host today.
Yeah, I mean, we've been getting everything ready. I will say we're delighted to be here in the magnificent offices of Howden Insurance and the invitation of Luke Wildey. Hey, Luke.
Hey.
Looking after us very nicely. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And,
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for coming.
And I should definitely introduce Dave here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Presumably you sponsor British Lions, this must be, I think.
British and Irish Lions rugby team.
Fantastic. Well, Luke, do you want to start by telling us a little bit about who you are and a bit about Howden's for us?
Yeah, so I started in the print industry when I was 19. I was kind of poached out of pub and club work. Someone said to me, "You've got a bit of savvy about you. I'd like to see how you do in account management and sales." And ended up working in a broom cupboard just off of Oxford Street at Oxford Circus. And company was called Visual Impact. It was print management and just buying, selling, print farming as it was known then, really. It wasn't really print management then. It's more print farming. And moved on from there, moved around print management, print manufacture, worked for a couple of big printers, worked for Patterson's Print down in Kent. They went into administration, went over to FM Print in Essex. They had a B210 colour Comoria, small digital and large format. So got some income to my nails as well as doing the print management stuff. So worked on the light side and the dark side of print, as you like. So
nice. You said print, I don't know how many times in that introduction, which is fantastic. Which kind of comes to our first sort of discussion point, really. I mean, you obviously have a print background. Andy's got a print background. How kind of important is that for people working in businesses that are supporting the print industry? I'm going to start with you, as you're saying. How do you feel that has sort of helps you in what you do?
well, in providing insurance for print businesses, you need to have a general understanding of how a print business operates. So having inner knowledge, if you like, and understanding how a print business operates from the inside gives me kind of a bit more of a leg up, if you like, in understanding what goes on, why it goes on, how it goes on. So you understand the processes and the reason behind those processes a lot more.
I think your customers must value that massively as well. The fact that you're sat across the table to them knowing what goes into the actual job, right?
Yeah, I had a recent testimonial where they literally said it was quite refreshing to deal with someone who knows what we do.
Well, I can imagine.
So yeah, it made it more interesting, really.
Are you very upfront with that at the start as well?
Yeah. My colleague Josh calls it my cheat code.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm always upfront with that because I feel that if I can go in and be honest with someone and say, look, I come from print.
Mhm.
I don't know everything about print. No, none of us do. It's impossible to know. There's too much going on. But if I can go in and say, I understand print, I understand what goes into it. I know I've been in your position. I've had those toothaches where you're trying to deal with an urgent job and get that through or get the pricing. And you got the artwork and the artwork's due at 3 o'clock. It's not coming until 3:30 and it puts everything behind schedule. I've been there.
Yep.
But I can then, we have a more honest floor then to open discussion on other bits and pieces around the business, around its security, around what it is that they do, really.
It's that empathy piece, isn't it? I guess. And then you can almost alleviate, look, I know insurance is going to be a bit of a pain in the bum for you to like look at as well as run your business. I'll do that bit for you.
No one wants to look at it.
Yeah, exactly.
No one wants to look at it. We all put off our car insurance. You only renew your car insurance if you think you're paying too much. So to have those conversations with print businesses, and printers are very loyal to their insurance companies. So sometimes at their own fault. But this is where Howden come in with the scheme, and we're able to broaden people's covers. We're genuinely going in, broadening people's covers, and most times producing better value for money for them because we're providing much better protections for their business. I mean, most recently, I looked at a case and we were £5,000 down on what they were paying, and what they had was an off-the-shelf policy, whereas what I was offering was structured towards their print business.
And if you can make it easy for them to do that transition, and it's not a ball ache for them to kind of go into it, you take all that away from them, and it's a win-win.
Yeah.
I guess your understanding of what it is that Howden's is offering relative to their business and what they're actually, the benefits to them of what you're offering, which is your cheat code. How does that work with the rest of the team? Do they keep coming to you?
So-
Players in what does this mean?
No, I as much as they lean on me for print knowledge, I lean on them for insurance knowledge. I make no bones about it. I started at the beginning of August, end of July. I don't know all there is to know about insurance. I'm still learning insurance every single day. Every case I look at generates another issue or another problem for me to work out. But I'm learning on the job, and I'm going to be working towards qualifications as well in this. But you know, we've got the backing of an amazing company behind us, and the print team lean on me for print knowledge. I lean on them for insurance knowledge a lot more.
Okay, how about you, Andy? You've sort of grown up in a sort of kind of a print family.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So my dad sold copiers, sold printers, and then I worked for a barrister's clerks where I was on the photocopier every single day, and then went to Prudential where I was doing a bit more copying for reports and quarterly reports and those kind of things. So kind of been around copiers, printers my whole life, and obviously with Dad. And then I started CEDO in the print room as well. So that was quite a good grounding of how does large format work, how do deadlines work, and working to those deadlines. So yeah, it's kind of been in my blood really. And having a good knowledge of how a roller banner goes together, how to hem and eyelet banner, self-adhesive vinyl to boards. I've been there, I've done it. So offering that to customers as I can sell it to you, but I can also train you on those things as well. So I think that goes quite a long way.
No, of course.
It's added value, isn't it? It's the added value that you're able to provide.
Yeah.
There's a balance though, isn't there? I mean, it's great to have that industry knowledge, but you also need to know the service that you're providing inside out as well, and which is the one that you need. Well, you've got both, amazing, but not many people do have both. How about you, Matt? You kind of
So like I chose to be in print really. So before I got into recruitment, I worked in a purchasing consortium, which was selling the idea of a kind of buying club into private healthcare providers and social housing and things like that. And print was one of those frameworks. And I just got on really well with the 3 suppliers that were in there. So I went out and seen their manufacturing facilities, went on joint visits and all that type of stuff. And then that was very much in sales when I was kind of 18, 19. And then got into recruitment and stayed in touch with those suppliers basically, and then just chose to build my recruitment career around print. So yeah, I've got family that have been in print as well. So kind of been in and around it way before doing recruitment.
I think, well, with all of us, really, it's not even so much about understanding print, it's understanding the companies, how they relate to each other, what it is they're trying to achieve at a business level. So we kind of need to have that sort of broader view of what we're trying to do for them. And certainly understanding how they fit into the wider market is kind of important.
Yeah, print is notoriously incestuous.
Yeah.
And, you know, everyone knows someone who knows someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so interconnected. The more you know about a area of the trade or people within that area of the trade, the more you can learn about that area of the trade. So, for example, yesterday I was at a BPIF event about labels, and I was looking at flexographic technologies. When I was in print in the early noughties, flexographic was printing with a potato. Now you look at what they're producing. They're producing some really nice stuff. It was the potato print of the industry, and we utilised it for envelopes and envelopes only because it was, to be honest, crap. But now you look at it, they're producing sharp images. They're doing 1,200 lines per inch. It's unbelievable. And I see, you know, those areas where you get to speak to people and reach into those areas, you can learn more about those areas and develop relationships in those areas.
Yeah. Do you think you probably see this Andy, you're dealing with companies that, okay, ostensibly are printers, but actually their business is something else, but printing is a part of what they do. I was speaking to somebody who said he sells pet food, pet feed, but he's also got a printer because he produces print. Do you deal with...
Yeah, we've got a few customers that are out of the industry. Just trying to think off the top of my head to put me on the spot there. But we do have to come back to me on that one, I think. But we do have customers that are out of the industry and that use printers for their business.
It's a bit of, just to give you some breathing space there.
Thank you.
Arnold Clark have just done that. They've just brought in their own kind of printing and vehicle wrappers in-house because they must have been spending an absolute fortune externally. But yeah, not a print business at all. A car dealership, aren't they? But to then take control of that, then...
The supermarkets were bringing in printers in-house. I don't think they do anymore. They've gone back to...
I think they've got some glorified photocopiers that do the shelf markers.
Yeah.
So for pricing and bits and pieces like that. So I don't think they go beyond that in-house.
Okay. So they fit into the Howden print room, or they've got
I'm sure
a retail section somewhere.
I'm sure I could wiggle them in somehow.
Well, I guess this is all about knowing your customer, isn't it?
Yeah.
We all need to understand that. Where do you... well, we kind of cover this in depth, but I just feel like it's that understanding of what people want to do, how they can do it, how they can use the stuff that we're providing to them to make their business better.
I think you touched on it before, Luke, about kind of adding that value, and certainly from me, as I don't have a product other than people, it's definitely a service kind of led thing. If I don't know my customer, then how can I be the extension of them in the market and represent them to thousands of people within that industry? So it's absolutely vital to know their challenges, their good things, their nuances, and certainly from my side of things, then yeah, without getting to know them and going visiting or building relationships with them, then they've got to trust me to represent them in the marketplace.
I feel like your added value is trust. Because when you're dealing with a recruiter, you need to be able to trust them. You need to be able to give them the key points of what you're looking for and rely on them to then develop upon that. So the added value that you bring is that trust and that reliance. So because it is relationship led what you do, but a lot of what all of us do is relationship led. So it's about building and developing those relationships.
And just touching on that, like a lot of people hire on culture, attitude, behaviours. Yes, it's great if you can tick the kind of skills and experience as well. But you, as a recruiter, you can't put a price on me going physically seeing them, meeting the rest of the team, seeing what that culture is like. And now, kind of 14, 15 years in, I find myself having conversations with people almost speculatively and going, Andy, I've got this person. I know you might not be recruiting, but they tick pretty much every culture, attitude, behaviour that you would want. They're 10 minutes away, get them in for a brew. And 9 times out of 10, people would be daft not to at least entertain a conversation.
This is it as well. You know the culture of Sea-Doo.
Yeah.
You know the culture of that business because you've worked with Andy for a period of time.
Yeah,
You've got to understand that business and the culture within it. And again, Andy trusts Matt.
Absolutely. Yeah, but
it's the same with any of us. Yeah. When it's relationship led, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we get on well, and why we use you for recruitment. But we get recruiters constantly sending us candidates, but they don't understand my business. So I get a lot of them say, "Oh, they've sold tons of large format print and cut sheet print." That's not what I do. I sell machinery. It's a byproduct. What we do is the large format print, which is disaster recovery, but they don't understand my business properly. I want people who can sell consumables and machinery, and they haven't done that research, whereas you've taken the time to get to know me, my business, and that trust comes into it.
Yeah.
Because it's personal, isn't it? I mean, we all deal with trust with what we do, but this comes down to people. You've got to spend time working with this person. It's this person's livelihood. The trust is, there's a lot of pressure on there, Matt.
Absolutely.
You've got the shoulders for it. So, Luke, I just wanted to ask, I mean, you talked a little bit about stuff you were doing before, but how did you get into insurance?
So I worked at a print management company and I was kind of mentoring a guy there, a guy called Dom. And the company was City Digital, based in Sevenoaks. and Don worked there working on some ad hoc clients for their print management needs, and I was teaching him basically the basics of becoming an account manager. And he later moved on into recruitment in the city. And I got a call out of the blue one day, beginning of last year, just to say, Luke, what you doing? What are you up to? And just let him know that I was working for myself. I was doing bits and pieces. And he said he had a potential opportunity. He knows someone in insurance who are specialising in the print industry, and would I be interested in a conversation? So similar to what you two just said about have a conversation.
Yeah.
He has that sort of relationship with, I'm sure you know, my director, Jem. He has a similar relationship with him. And I was encouraged to have a conversation with Jem and got to know about the scheme, got to know about the policy and what's encapsulated within the policy and what makes it special to printers and what makes it specific to printers compared to your standard off-the-shelf policies. And to be honest, when I left print, I left from a print management perspective where I felt quite a lot of guilt towards the downfall of print. I saw a lot of printers going out of business. I saw a lot of people losing their positions.
Race to the bottom mentality.
Yeah, basically. And being on the print management side, I harboured quite a bit of guilt towards that because it was buy cheap, buy en masse and mark it up and then sell it. And it was the race to the bottom. So to be provided with an opportunity to come back into the print industry, which I loved being in anyway, to then help print businesses to save money, to actually protect them in better ways than what they're currently being protected. That's how I've landed in insurance.
You'll be able to get through those pearly gates now, won't you? Redemption.
The redemption arc.
It does sound like you believe in the product that Howden's is selling to people.
100%. Absolutely. It's, just from looking at the automatic extensions in the cover, that sounds very technical on its own. We're speaking to printers predominantly through this podcast, so I can get a little bit technical, but not too much on the insurance side because everyone will turn off. But the automatic extensions include things like operational error. We can cover people up to 100k on operational error, which basically means if someone screws up on a job, you can claim that back. So
None of my people.
Your people.
No.
Or on my printers.
Not at all.
Them too, that's where but that's just one automatic extension. We've also got breach of copyright, libel and slander protection, various other bits and pieces that are built in to that policy. Bookbinders extension, for example. So if you've printed a job and it goes to the finishing department or a finishing company, depending how your business is structured. If that's then screwed up completely, you can claim the cost of the reprinting of that job. So obviously you have to weigh up the value of that job and the cost of that claim on your future premiums, but cash flow is king sometimes. So if it determines that you need to go in this direction, we're there to assist you in this policy.
How many times can someone screw up before A, getting fired, but B, being able to claim?
It depends.
Okay.
Case by case basis. Yeah, it's a case by case basis. There's no marker. It depends on the circumstances of a claim, circumstances of an error, what's led to it, what was done previously to stop this happening again, what's been done this time to stop this happening again. That's one of the most important questions if someone's had a claim on their policy is what have you put in place to ensure this doesn't happen again? Because sometimes someone's done nothing. The underwriter may turn around and say, well, until you've put remedial steps in place, we're not going to look at you.
Mm-hmm. Would you typically go to site to see those kind of issues if that happens, or?
I like to be in front of people.
Yeah.
I like to speak to people face to face. I get out to see as many people as possible. As I'm sure you're aware, if you've got me on LinkedIn, I'm all over the place at any one point. Much like Matt, who's you're right down south.
I'll tell you at tea time if there's any gravy. Tea time.
Yeah, tea time. I like to get in front of people. Sometimes it's not always possible.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's really beneficial to be able to go to someone's premises, have a look around, see what they've got, because their existing policy documents sometimes, they might have external grates or external grills on their windows and their doors, and it's not within their policy document. But I've arrived and they've got a big steel garter in front of their door. As immediately I'm going to mark that in, because that can save them money. It's additional security protections.
Yeah,
It's
things that
something-
you know that they're not aware of that could bring down their policy.
Yeah, and it's stuff that I can evidence. I can take photographs of it. I can have a look at it. I can put things in front of an underwriter then and present a case in its best light, whilst being 100% honest all the way through, and say, this business has this, they're set up in this way, they produce this in this way, they're set up for LIFO, digital large format, whatever it may be. But they also have these protections in place. So it's always beneficial to get in front of people, to get onto the premises and have good conversations, really. And then relationships.
Absolutely.
Everything develops from that.
Also context, isn't it? I visit a lot of print rooms where they're either incredibly tidy, and that's the nature of the people that run it and the way they work. Some are a bit messy. That's not necessarily a bad thing, just the way they work in slightly different ways. And it helps to understand if you're writing about them a bit more, but also from your point of view, you can understand how they operate and the sort of people they are. I guess.
And I know I've not been to your place, but kind of 90% of the people that I work with I have been to, because if they ring me and go, oh, how do I get into it? And I've not been there, it's a bit like, oh, I don't know, I've never been there. Like, it could be a shithole as well, couldn't it, really? And I know how to position the story and how to sell it and stuff like that, so it is important.
I think you're right. If you're talking to somebody to place them somewhere and you don't know the company, haven't been there, that would be tricky.
It's a good job I know him, but I've not actually the other end of the country. But
It's not that bad, is it?
I bet it's really tidy. I imagine it's a nice tidy.
It's not too bad. It's not too bad.
I had a look on Google Maps. It was fine. It's got shutters outside and everything.
In premium day.
That's it.
So I'm just going to think, at a general level, what is it that makes the print industry different? I'm going to throw that to all of us, really. Because
You answer.
Yeah, I'll kick off. I mean, I've worked in a lot of different industries. Funnily enough, being here, see the gherkin just behind us. My starting, well, it wasn't my first job, but one of my first jobs was working here just up the road, selling IT systems to the banks here. Actually, a lot of the banks probably moved away by now. He's going back sort of 35 years. So, but I've worked in, when I went into PR, I worked for IT companies, light bulbs that scare off insects. I did PR for just about anything, but I've kind of settled into large format print, which I fell into purely by chance. Partly because it is, sorry, Matt, you mentioned this earlier, it's big enough for us all to work in. There's plenty of opportunity, but it's small enough for everyone to know each other. But the key thing is that, on the whole, not everybody obviously, but people kind of support each other a lot more in this industry. Now, in the IT world, you're out there, you're on your own. But here, you do feel like the magazines are very supportive. You work with other recruiters. You'll probably work with other insurance people. Even. You've talked about working with other businesses as well.
Yeah.
So that's my view. It's just an industry that supports each other much more so than many others that I've seen.
It's connected, but quite inclusive as well. Even if you're new to it, I think it's a very come on in type of thing, and it's ever evolving. I think it needs to, because we're at the peril of so many different other industries as well. So construction, live events, retail, and stuff like that. So it immediately has, if they're booming, then print necessarily booms, and if they're struggling, then it's a bit of a knock-on effect. And as a supplier to the print industry, who's a supplier to all those other industries, it's sometimes a bit of a delay coming back through to me, but I like how connected it is to the wider kind of economy.
Economy.
That's the one. Find a recruiter that can't say economy. But yeah, no, it's so well connected to the wider picture, which I quite like.
If you look at just the sign element of what we do, every business and every event needs signage. I mean, it's one of those first things, but nobody would ever think about it, particularly if you're not in it. But it just touches everywhere.
It's the issue with getting that next generation through, isn't it? They don't realise how much it does touch.
I like how varied the industry is, and even in just my job, I can be in a van one day helping an install. I could be on the phones doing cold calls. I'm emailing. I'm quoting. I could be doing demonstrations, podcasting. I just love how many different hats I'm always wearing, rather than just in an office data entry constantly. It just wouldn't be for me. So I like the fact I can get out and not always be in the office and PC.
And also the people. Yes, how inclusive everybody is and how much we all know each other, but it's a proper manufacturing, roll your sleeves up and salt of the earth, grounded people.
Yeah.
So, which I love. Again, the whole relationship, people, business, focused.
Yeah. Printers are notoriously sarcastic.
Yeah.
Really?
No.
Well, it goes back to your economy as well. Print is
Touche.
it is and always has been a barometer to industry.
Yeah.
And it always has been. And when people aren't printing, they're doing it online now. So it's at the peril of others.
Yeah.
And this is where my background brought me into it. On the whole, Howden are in print because they were invited to tender by BPIF to be their preferred insurance provider. On doing a lot of research and development, they developed a scheme and a product, if you like, that offers double the amount of coverage for print businesses compared to the next best level of cover in the industry and to what was there previously. So that's why print for Howden. But for me, it's what I know, it's what I love. I've ventured into tech. I've done various bits and pieces elsewhere. But it's salt of the earth people. It's the sarcasm. It's the wit. It's the relationships that you can develop. And it's the way that the industry supports each other. I mean, if I go back to when I first joined Howden, I went to an event with the IPIA at the MTC in Coventry. And I came in used to printers being quite... I'd liken them to children hiding their workings when they're doing exams like this. That's not going to be great for audio listeners, but there you go, hit my workings. But that's how printers were back in the day. They do their quote on the back of the fag box and turn it over and then slide it across the table. And
brown envelope type stuff.
Exactly, yeah. But now it seems like printers are talking about the issues that they're facing and then sharing solutions, which back in the day wouldn't have happened. But now it's openly spoken about. Yes, this isn't just you. It's not just ABC print and DEF print and the rest of them, XYZ print down the road. Couldn't remember what the next letter's in the alphabet. But they're sharing their workings.
Yeah.
And seeing that collaboration amongst printers themselves and amongst the supporting industries of print and the way people are having those conversations show how each other are now kind of lifting each other up while not trying to batch each other down anymore.
Got two cliches there. You've got.
I really want to talk over you there, just for all time's sake.
Both looked at each other then. Collaboration, not competition.
Yep.
And also, we're stronger together as an industry rather than going out all alone. So, yeah, we should all be working together more to boost up the industry.
Well, when you're facing those risks. Sorry, mate, I've just done an Andy. I'm so sorry.
But you must see that, Jack, as a PR journalist, wearer of many, many hats. Like you must see the challenges in the industry and the collaborate. I can't speak. The collaboration between competitors, right? And like you writing the stories about all those issues. Oh my god!
Yes,
you writing about. about all these issues in the industry. And do you think the magnitude of the changes and the developments and the kind of problems in the industry needs that collaboration more?
I think, well, we were talking with Sam, weren't we, in the last pod, and that's the printing charity is 200 years old. Print is an old industry. It was at the heart of the Industrial Revolution, and it's pretty much been the same for 190 of those 200 years. And then suddenly, wallop, along comes digital, along comes, and all those traditional ways of printing turn the industry upside down. I think it took a while for the industry to kind of realise what's it going to do with this. I've suddenly been hit with sustainability, that's important. The way the internet, print management is basically word to print and all that sort of stuff now. Your back of your fag packet is your MIS system. It's complete, and it's had to do that really quickly, and people couldn't do it on their own. So one of the things I've seen about this industry is that there are quite a few trade associations that are attached to the industry that are really active and really doing things. Whereas in a lot of other, all industries have them, but this one, because there's a few, and even they work together, they notoriously don't. They're sort of sneaking around, throwing things at each other. But in this industry, they do try and get on, and very few. I think it's to the credit of the industry. I do feel like everyone does kind of do their best. Obviously, you're competing in certain areas, but you still need to collaborate in order to push the industry forward.
It makes it more of a healthy competition as well. It makes it more of a positive competition. And in doing so, you're providing the best results for the end user. You're providing best results for the clients. And you're maintaining a cost level, a level of pricing that is sustainable. You touched on sustainability. Pricing needs to be sustainable for printers as well, because otherwise it's a race to the bottom again. And we end up back in 2008, where we're saying goodbye to our friends and colleagues every other week. And it's just that pricing level needs to be sustainable to maintain the industry.
Yeah, you must see that a lot, selling particularly consumables, being from media. I mean,
Yeah, it's always a bone of contention with the supplies team that we're all trying to get that business. We're all undercutting each other. It is really just send a purchase order to the supplier, out it goes. So it's a very easy move. But yeah, margins can be as slim as 4 or 5%, and really we should all kind of try and stick to a point. But obviously you can't do that with monopolies and cartels and those things. But yeah, it's getting much harder. We were probably looking at 30% 15 years ago when I started in the industry, and that's the internet has obviously played its part in people being able to look around and shop around. But yeah, it's just one of those things, and we have to work sometimes on a little bit of volume, which I don't always like doing, but that's what industry requires.
And I guess service then becomes key for margin.
Yeah, if you can get it there quicker than your competitor, or you're more reliable, or you offer more favourable terms. But really, they're kind of areas, especially with terms, you don't want to get into. You want either payment on account or end of month plus 30. We don't want to do in 60, 90 days, because that starts ruining cash flow with those kind of products that you're now on 3, 4, 5% margins.
Yeah. I mean, so looking at how the industry has changed dramatically over the last 15 years, for good and bad, I guess. What do you think of the sort of the big things that are changing, and what's going to change going forward? Any thoughts on that?
I'll try and talk. For me, it's very much less about the printing technologies and things like that, but it's the wider issues, the sustainability, the next generation, and yeah, I think that's only got better over the last couple of years, and it's going to be even better kind of moving forward as well. So sustainability and the next generation are probably the biggest things that I'm having conversations with, but also the kind of pending national insurance, minimum wage, and all of the economy. Got it right first time. Are like a big thing as well at the minute.
Can't say it because you're premium. There you go.
Thanks very much.
That's all right.
I mean, I guess because I'm covering it as a news thing, new technology is always something that appeals to me. But over the last few years, things like personalisation, direct to film, direct to garment, they're the sort of things that are hitting the print industry that have to soak it up. And I guess from your point of view, that's another realm of equipment, services that you need?
Yeah, it's an area that we're looking at. And if you look at the print show in September last year, and then you look at printwear and promotion most recently, you look at the amount of DTG and DTF machines being produced, and the amount of people saying they're now doing it, and it's something that printers are paying attention to, because printers notoriously diversify, and they will say they take the Richard Branson approach of say yes, find out how to do it afterwards, and then is it there to stay though? Is it the next technology? Is it going to be as big as everyone wants it to be or expects it to be? Because there's only so much personalisation for clothing that people want. There's only so much clothing people need. There's only so much corporate workwear deals out there. Is it going to be as huge as, the colour management may be on a litho press? You look at Heidelberg colour management systems now on their litho presses, they're second to none. They've always been the Rolls Royce of the industry, but that's where the real developments have been made, similar in large format, flatbed, reel to reel, whatever it may be. I'm looking at DTG, DTF with a side eye at the moment. It's not a bombastic side eye yet, but it is a side eye.
So a lot of that market is kind of from the Far East. If customers have got those types of machinery that's not from, say, the big known brands, does that make it harder to insure at all?
So we don't generally insure the machinery specifically. So we don't do machinery damage policies on the offset. So, or from the outset, not the offset. You're rubbing off on me.
That would be original.
It's ticked out on 18 plus.
So it's I completely lost it. Thank you.
They cut on another money.
Yeah, come on, money. It's we need to just be careful of those. We don't specifically go out to sell machinery damage policies. We go out to sell business protection policies, more around the business. If they have a machinery damage policy in place, or an engineering damage policy in place, or an engineering inspection policy in place, then we will make sure that we're not falling down in those areas. Generally speaking, the value of a press is included in the content sums insured of a policy anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's included in that area. So if something is damaged by fire, flood, or, thugs coming in and causing vandalisation or vandalism, whatever it may be.
Yeah, but I think with the machines, I seem to remember when I used to work with Colour Gym, they would basically provide the cover for the machines. If the heads go, they would, and I seem to remember the cost of heads suddenly spiked, particularly with currency exchanges. That kind of did for a lot of companies about 15 odd years ago, made it very difficult. But I can understand why you wouldn't specifically cover the machines for operation. That's down to you guys like yourselves to do.
Yeah, but with things like printer heads, with the heads on large format machinery, under the scheme, operator error, if a head wears out because of wear and tear, it's worn out because of wear and tear. Generally speaking, it's included under a warranty that a print business will have from purchasing that press. If it's caused by an operator looking away and not supervising the job properly, and they've caused the heads to crash, then that can be under operator error. So we can provide cover on that basis.
I use the word loosely, but how do you police that? Whether it's a worn out head compared to a damaged print head?
Generally, you know, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So just by looking at it, generally speaking, I've seen enough to know the difference. And, the print industry is a small industry.
Yeah.
We know people who can tell the difference if it's a question mark. So I'd reach out to a couple of people that I know, might even include you in one of those as well. And just drop an image over, but with GDPR rules in mind and, not revealing any information or anything along those lines. But, it's just one of those areas.
Okay. I think with you mentioned DTF, I think there's a lot of small people in their garage and their dining room that's still kind of developing. They're maybe more artistic than anything to build, and so they're building their own business at that level. But maybe some of the other stuff, this sort of thing, this sort of thing, that's going to be sort of swallowed up by the sort of mass producers, aren't they? So we'll see what happens with that. Now, something else we were going to have a quick talk about was about building our own personal brands, how that helps us in our working lives. Slightly embarrassing thing to talk about, but how do you feel about, in terms of, you say you're out and about, you're always seeing people doing stuff. How does that sort of help you personally and also in your working life?
Well, because I believe in what we're doing and what we're offering. That helps me a lot because it stops me worrying about shouting about it from the treetops. I'm not kind of a show-offy guy that's going to go out and really look at me and all that.
Cheers.
But I can be on LinkedIn and I can go out and I can be, we mentioned it earlier, when I was out Took North, I'm always saying that I'm Took North currently, but I can use social media as a platform to help develop that personal brand, help it drive that engagement, if you like, just by utilising the figures that I'm seeing on there, whether it's like shares, reposts, or impressions, whatever impressions means now. Just by reviewing those and seeing how we're doing, it's developing not only the Howden brand within the print industry, but my own personal brand as well. And it's also the stories that are told amongst different people, from conversations that people have with you and who you know in the industry, who you're working with in the industry, what have you done for someone in the industry.
There's stuff like today. Like I put a picture, for those that are listening, we're sat pretty much opposite the Gherkin, and I took a picture, tagged us all in it, and it automatically brings you into my network and everybody else is into their network as well. And that's LinkedIn specific. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It's who you're building those relationships with as well, isn't it?
Yeah. And algorithms are smart now to know whether you're just driving content to try and promote yourself or promote a product or promote a business, or whether you're actually working with people within that industry. So if you're having regular conversations with certain people within an industry, the algorithm will identify that and it will know this guy speaks with this person in print, this person in print, this person in print. When they tag print, we need to put it out to this test field of print people, and if it's well received over here, we'll branch it out to a wider range, and it helps on those developments. And yes, of course, I'm trying to develop my own personal brand as well alongside that, but I'm also shouting about the company and what we're doing for print.
Yeah, I often struggle with the personal brand because you want to shout about the services that CEDO provide and that I've provided via CEDO. But actually, people buy from people, and I think if you had a little bit of your life in there, and the pictures from here, or pictures from your car that you're at services and you've done 6 hours driving that day, people actually get quite interested in, I can't speak now, interested in those kind of things. And like I say, people buy from people and not necessarily just from this faceless company. So that's something I've tried to do, and obviously learning from Jack and Matt, who are very, very good at those kind of things. So I've tried to increase my network over the last 12 months, and it has been recognised in the industry.
You certainly pulling yourself out of your comfort zone.
These kind of things as well. Yeah, definitely out of my comfort zone.
It's where you thrive.
Yeah,
that's what you learn, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it can feel quite small sometimes. I mean, obviously, LinkedIn is huge. We're in this tiny little bit of it, but I think we kind of use it as best we can. Try to take it too seriously. Trying to understand the algorithms almost impossible. So,
well, it changes. They don't change it a lot from what I learned most recently. I'm going through some training at the moment because everything I know about LinkedIn is what I've learned myself. So I'm going through some training currently, and I've been told only post once a day. So I upset him yesterday. Sorry, James. But it's developing those bits and pieces, like you say. People buy from people. Be yourself on there.
Yeah.
I put a post up not so long ago. Did really well. Just saying good morning from foggy Oxford, because I was on my way to go and help someone with their renewal. I work on the new business side of Howden, but I was going over to help with a renewal because I believed in the value of that renewal. But I thought, I'm in Foggy Oxford. I'll say hi from Foggy Oxford. Another one, I went to the town of Howden because I was took north again. And there's a town called Howden, not far from a place called Gaul. And I popped into Howden and created the hashtag Where's Wildey. Not that it's done very well, but it is just a bit of silly, you know.
It's authentic, isn't it?
Yeah.
And for me, just like stepping outside of LinkedIn as well, like tone of voice is massive, consistency is huge.
Yeah.
Because as a one-person business, I write as if I'm talking. So if they're reading a job advert that's from me, and then when they pick up the phone, they'll be like, "Oh, I can tell that it's." And you've said it before. When I've like written something, you're like, "I can hear you Mancunian accent in literally a piece of writing." And I think it's important. Like my website's exactly the same. My LinkedIn posts are me. So that whether or not you're listening to this or reading something or meeting me in person, then it's just that continuation and consistency of tone of voice, which you'll know from your marketing hats and days and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's been quite difficult doing separating the magazine posts from the other stuff I do myself. But actually, now that Catherine now editing on display, I don't actually do them anymore. So, I think it's important for me to separate from that as well. I can comment on it accordingly. I often say with clients where you've got a business page, that's where you do your more formal, this is something happening, and then you can share that with your own take and your own personality on it.
But consistency is massive as well, especially on LinkedIn. Like I'll be posting something daily, probably at 8:45, with the idea that people will log in and probably scroll on LinkedIn for 15 minutes, and pretty much every single day. I don't even think it's what the content is, it's the context of it and consistency that it'll be one of the first posts that people see. And then if it's authentic and everything like that, then
I think that tone is really good as well, because you can tell an AI post now so easily, and you think you haven't brought your personality and your personal brand to that post. Something else has done that for you. And I think it just loses a little bit of trust. You know, you're not buying from that person now, you're buying from the LinkedIn AI bot.
Yeah. You've just touched on what I was about to say, in that what you've just said builds that trust. It helps develop that trust, and by getting to know someone without really knowing them, or by seeing what they're posting on LinkedIn, you're developing a bit of trust in them that they are authentic and that they are themselves, and it's not AI generating something. Yeah. But then it ties into that relationship aspect of it as well.
It helps
developing that.
Helps break the ice as well. Like I'll go and see a brand new client and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I seen your stuff last week. How was your holiday?" Or do you know what I mean? It's just putting yourself out there as well.
100%.
Not being scared of what people might think.
First time I met you over at Capital Display and Print, or Capital Print and Display with George.
Yeah.
And hijacked your meeting.
Yeah.
I've not met you in person properly.
Yeah.
In passing maybe, but walked in immediately. Just
we cuddled and everything.
Yeah.
Should we leave these two?
Yeah, I think so. Feel left out.
Shift it, Dave.
Okay, so going chatting away, and the time is passing. I think I just want to have a little thought. We've talked a lot about work here. What do we do for a bit of downtime, for a bit of release?
Me and Luke cuddle.
Yeah, so I'm going to start with Andy.
Well, I've said before that actually one of my kind of things I like to do at the end of the day is actually get on my decks and DJ. I know obviously that's something you do as well. Bit of trance, bit of Afro house, bit of garage. I like doing that. And more recently, I've got back into fitness, and I think that's really important. And I wish I'd done it over the last 10 years more consistently. Not picked up for 3 weeks, dropped it, picked up again 4 months, 6 months down the line. So that's actually helped massively. Just clear the head, just get on and do the work, and not think about work and social media posts and quotes and customers and all those kind of things, and just have a bit of downtime.
How about you, Matt?
For me, it was a conversation that you and I had actually, totally separately. When you're a one-person business, like it just consumes so much of your kind of mental space and thought process all the time. what I've decided to do, I now manage my son's football team, and twice a week it's completely switch off from work and focus on training, and then on a Saturday morning, it just kind of it gives me accountability to 10 young kids that just have that pure innocence and love of football, and it helps me totally switch off. And obviously my life's busy outside of work anyway, with 3 young boys and Lindsay and stuff, but that is like one specific thing that I absolutely love doing, and gives back to the community as well, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
So that's,
And
that's mine.
I did something very similar when my kids were at school. They weren't great at football, but when
I hope they're not listening.
no, they'll know. They learn everything they knew from me. So, but if you're I presume you're an actual team. So So
Yeah.
whereas if you do school football, it's a bit like an international football.
Yeah.
In that you don't really have a choice. That's who you're playing for, which is also quite good fun. And you can just it's a little bit less serious, but it's not less serious because of course once the games start, it's incredibly serious. And you've got if you're quite a small school up against a bigger school, it's always going to be difficult. Yeah. But that's where that got me into doing the Forest School, which is I've been doing for quite a few years. And again, it's just doing something where there's no way of thinking about work. The phone's on Do Not Disturb. Yeah. You can't do anything, and it's you can't do it otherwise. How are you, Luke?
I'm similar to Andy. I love my music. I used to go out and perform for other people. Used to do a lot of mobile DJing. Now I DJ for myself. I cherry pick what I'm going to do. I've been up on stages, I've done festivals, I've done various bits and pieces, done events, but I'll do some friends' birthdays, or I'll do a gig at a club or a bar or a small cellar at Tom Pepper's in Clacton or whatever it might be.
So you got like a wall of vinyl somewhere, or was it all digital?
Not vinyl anymore, no. I've got about 38,000 songs on a laptop. And then that's backed up on a hard drive in a drawer somewhere. But yeah, I'll go on to Beatport and buy random tunes that are made by producers that no one's heard of and stuff like that. That kind of helps me wind down. But I also like driving. Yeah. I know the state of the UK roads aren't perfect right now, but
or you could the roads on there you could
I recently drove to Wales for a breakfast and then drove back again. So I was on the road for 10 hours and I spent about 58 minutes in Wales. So
that's a long way to go for a little chef, isn't it?
Do you create yourself a kind of playlist for driving, or do you just listen to the radio or podcasts or book?
I've got a few different ways. So I've got some USBs that I plug into decks. Okay. So I've got some tunes on there, and I've got one folder on one USB of tunes that I've not listened to yet. So I usually, if I'm going for a drive for a long distance, I'll either stick a podcast on, or I'll put that in and put that folder on and listen to the music that I've only heard like a 30-second sample of before buying it, and then listen to the whole tune, and then if I like it, I'll listen to it again, then I understand it, then I think what I can mix it with, and then then similar to you with the Forest School, you're not thinking about work, you're not thinking about this big meeting that you've got coming up that you're driving to. You're thinking about, what can I mix this with? What's going to go with this tune? This is really good. I can see this going down really well with X, Y, and Z demographic, or whoever it may be. Or if I've got a gig coming up, I've got one coming up in May. I'm already thinking of various tunes and what I'm going to do to wind people up in the crowd. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I do really.
Always fun if you put music on driving, you've got to have the speed limit on.
Especially a bit hard house.
I love a bit of drum and bass as well. So when there's certain tunes come on, it's have to ease off a little bit, get back into the slow lane.
When my kids were teenagers, dubstep appeared. Anyway, time for the dreaded mystery question. Which you haven't seen. Yeah.
No.
It's actually quite a tricky one, so I might come to you last.
I forgot about this as well, so I'm not...
So thank you very much, Sam Nelson. Thank you very much. If you could design and print for any brand or product, what would it be and why?
Andy wants to go first, look.
I'll go first. I would go back in time and I would redesign and print for the London 2012 Olympics because that logo was shocking. It was the pink and yellow one.
Yeah.
It looked like graffiti, but you couldn't read it, and it was awful.
What
So
would
that's-
you do? Any thoughts?
Not have graffiti pink and yellow, probably. Something a bit more modern, but not quite over the top.
I think we're, as a nation, not allowed to criticise any part of those Olympics. It's a good one. I like that. Go on then, Matt. Have you got one to hand?
Yeah, I think I would quite like to have a go at football club like badges and modernise, maybe have a twist on football clubs. I think that'd be quite a cool thing, and then roll out onto loads of different merch and things like that. But
Yeah.
the badges, the logos, things like that. There's some that I would turn into like a shit emoji. And then
There's some weird ones, aren't there? The Bournemouth one looks like a sort of shampoo advert.
Yeah, there's so many like different things, isn't there? But yeah, I think I would do. I think I'd go with my passion of football, and do slight kind of creative tweaks on legacy logos.
There's a slight thing that there was a third division Czech Republic or Croatian team that pinched the Brighton badge. So they just had the seagull with the name around it. And there was a little bit of debate as to whether they had it first or we had it. Obviously, I won't get involved in that. But they had to change it. But they've changed it to something much better. If you ever get a chance, I'll send it. It's a really good...
It's the new Brighton's logo for next year.
Share
it with me.
It's really cool. I love it. What I was thinking, having just moved and just sort of building chests of drawers and cabinets, I would definitely go and help IKEA with their instruction branding. I mean, I don't know, it's just designed for people with just absolute bare minimum of information you could possibly need to actually put this thing together. You can tell.
Still like the bubble man.
Yeah.
To be
Imagine how
honest,
many divorces you'd save.
I've handed it all to Catherine. She does it all. So as you can see by my attempts with the camera, I'm not great with that.
Yeah.
Have you had a chance to think of something?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'd like to design and print for teletext holidays. Because teletext
That was my post yesterday.
It was. Yeah, it was. Subliminal messaging.
Yeah, that is subliminal messaging.
Subliminal
But
messaging.
teletext was the first form of digital marketing. And teletext holidays, I mean, Peter Kay, teletext holidays. If we could put to use the lessons that we've learned and we know now, in that you can use physical printed tactile matter to lead to digital gateways or to physical stores in order to secure discounts, offers, promotions, whatever it might be, you think of what could have been achievable for teletext holidays. I think that's
You'd be
the
out
way
of a
that
job
I'd
now,
do
but yeah.
it. Yeah, absolutely.
Making myself redundant.
It's I'm just the potential really, because everyone had teletext.
Yeah.
Everyone had access to teletext if you had to telly, of course. I suppose that's the only difficult factor, isn't it?
Yeah.
But most people did, and if you utilise some digital marketing in that and some direct mail, get people there, give them some coupon codes.
How they never had a job section on CFAX, I never know. They missed a massive trick there. They had everything
at some point.
No, do you reckon?
I think they might have.
I was
It might
too
have been
busy
on
playing-
Channel 4.
Just-
Bamboozle.
Too busy playing Bamboozle.
I sent to the football scores.
Exactly. There's nothing more depressing. Well, good stuff. Well, I think we've talked for ages. It was really good fun. What do you reckon, Dave? How was it? Well, look, thanks very much for joining us, Luke. Thanks for the question, Sam. That was a good one in the end.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, then.
Thank you.
And
I've actually got you some gifts to celebrate being the first live.
Yeah.
So
Hopefully
in
not
Jam in the print room,
Hey,
I've got some Jammy Dodgers
Love that.
for our Jammy Dodgers,
Excellent.
and
With my gravy flavoured.
some jam tarts for our favourite jam tart.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, very
Thanks
nice.
very much, man.
Thank you.
Thank you for having
I'm
me.
not going to eat these on camera though.